One of the best-loved vocal talents in the business, Al Jarreau, is captured in concert at 1 o'clock. Before that on 4, Victor Lewis Smith's on the loose again, with Buygones.
Buygones Part 1. Frank Borth, Gonks won at Fairground, X-Ray Specs, Network 7 and Napalm. Bygone number 1. Frank Borth. Frank Borth.
Once upon a time there was a man called Uncle Frank. Uncle Frank was a jolly old man, and he wore slippers and cardigans and lived in a magic rectangle in the corner of everybody's room. But one day, one of the wicked fairies threw naughty magic dust up Uncle Frank's nose, and Uncle Frank took off and burst out through the top of the magic rectangle and through the top of Broadcasting House itself. And he went higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher until he reached the sky and was never heard of again. The end.
Bygone number 2. Gonks won at Fairgrounds. Gonks won at Fairgrounds.
In the 1950s and 60s, when you had to make your own entertainment and when we was all in and out of each other's houses borrowing cups of sugar, fairgrounds were as thick on the ground as very thick things that lay on the ground. However, after a series of funfair disasters leading to several hundred pleasure seekers wondering why they didn't look symmetrical in the mirror anymore and no longer enjoyed the full complement of limbs, the public attitude towards fairgrounds began to change, and many, slowly but surely, gave up the ghost train and turned out the fairy lights. And suddenly, the cat population in this country boomed. Why did the cat population in the country boom? Premise number 1. One of the commonest prizes given away at fairgrounds was the gonk, which always had a strange and pungent smell about it. Under scientific analysis, the constitution of your common or garden household gonk was discovered to be 20% of cardboard tube, 10% daily sketch stuffing, 5% plastic beacon eyes, and 65% dead cat skin. Conclusion: when it rained at fairgrounds, and it always did, and the non-permanent dye washed away, gonks were revealed to be either Ginger Tom, Tortoise Shell, Tabby, or White as a Sheet, because some maniacal tattooed Diddycoy gentleman was after Tiddles with a can of whiskers and a 15-inch knife. Ironically, children whose own family cat had mysteriously disappeared when the fair came to town would console themselves by hugging, sucking, licking, and fondling their newly won gonk, little suspecting that their own beloved pet had returned to them transmoggyrified, and that their tongues fell upon interesting furry gaping apertures formerly used for expelling excess kitty cat.
Bygone television logo of the week. Bygone number 3. X-ray Specs. X-ray Specs.
Advertised as the world's funniest practical joke, Honey Toy Industries Inc. made millions out of gullible adolescent schoolboys in the 1960s who were fooled into thinking that getting their rocks off from glimpses of ladies' chests in amateur photography magazine was a thing of the past, and that for 8 and 6, live sex shows could be theirs. Not a bit of it. X-ray Specs gave the wearer the illusion of seeing the skeleton beneath the skin, but no complicated radiation equipment was involved here, dear me, no. More your chicken feather glued to a plastic lens, giving a double image within image impression. While it may have been possible to convince a secretary who'd been on steroids for a month that yes, you really could see beneath her clothes, most adolescent males preferred seeing women in a state of undress, rather than right down to the marrow and with the skin off, although honourable exceptions include Dr. H.H. Crippen, Mr. Jack the Ripper Esquire, Mr. Sweeney Todd, and the estimable Sawney Bean family. If only their mothers had given them X-ray specs. C'est la vie.
La vie! Bygone number 4. Network 7. Network 7.
Network 7, a Channel 4 programme axed in 1988, was not so much a youth programme, more a charitable institution. By law, every public company is required to recruit a certain percentage of disabled employees, and Network 7 decided to soak up Channel 4's entire quota by itself and employ exclusively cameramen suffering from Meniere's disease, an unpleasant disorder of the inner ear, leading to total loss of balance, and not, as some might think, clever Fellini-esque camera angles.
Oh, yeah, that's very good. No balance at all. That's very good. Yeah, you've got the job. Yeah, you've got the job. Next, please. Next.
Bygone number 5. Napalm. Napalm.
As American as Coca-Cola, Napalm was a popular American product which good-natured GIs would drop gratis and for free from helicopters onto local inhabitants, much as they dropped chewing gum and fancy silk stockings during World War II. However, the typically ungrateful Asian peoples resented the gift, saying that it could cause skin rashes. Eventually, the Americans decided to teach these gooks a lesson by not sending them anymore. Typical of the gooks, it's self with some people.
Bygones Part 2, Spirograph, old-fashioned barbershops, trolls and Janet Webb. Bygone number 1, the Spirograph. The Spirograph.
The Spirograph was a revolving stencil kit which allowed its user to make thoroughly modern geometric patterns in the privacy of his own boudoir. It consisted of a set of clear perspex circles with serrated edges, each nestling in such a tightly crenellated base that children usually pass through puberty long before they manage to remove the equipment from the box. Some stencils were pinned onto a piece of paper fixed to a so-called drawing board. Others had various coloured ballpoint pens, which very rarely worked, inserted into them and were rotated around and around. This process was repeated with various shapes and sizes of circles until a complex mathematical motif was completed. Premise number 1. To make a successful and convincing pattern with a Spirograph, the user requires the hands and patience of a neurosurgeon. Premise number 2. When it comes to delicacy and deftness, most children give a display about as convincing as Douglas Barber captained the British Olympic synchronised swimming team. Conclusion, most children's attempt at the Spirograph ended like this, and not as intended by the manufacturers, like this.
Bygone number 2, old-fashioned barbershops. Old-fashioned barbershops.
In bygone days, barbershops were male sanctuaries where boy cubs overheard strange and mysterious words.
Elfin efficiency, Durex, men's talk.
One day at around puberty, after your haircut was finished and the barber had taken your half-crown, he would discreetly utter the following incantation.
Jumping for the weekend, sir.
These days, when you enter your high street condom shop, you're likely to be approached by the proprietor, who will ask you in hushed conspiratorial tones,
Would you like a haircut for the weekend, sir?
Proving once again the truth of the semiologist, Mr. Umberto Eco's primary postulate that inversion is the essence of comedy.
Bygone film logo of the week, Pearl and Dean. Pearl and Dean.
Great holidays, great activities, great events. See them all at the Daily Mail International Holiday Show, Earl's Court, 16th, 17th, 18th of February.
Who came in after having an asthma attack.
What was his peak flow like?
On admission it was 120, and then this morning it was 140.
Right, okay. Did he have any relatives with him?
Yes,
Last time, have things changed at all for you?
Well, quite a lot of more tightness in the chest.
Did that come over from Mrs. Wright yesterday, Leslie, as well?
Yes, apparently he's been getting more and more wheezy. So we were thinking that salbutamol would help.
Yes, I think that's a good idea. Well, we'll be coming out.
Get the trolley! Cardiac arrest, Albert Ward. I've given you a list of diabetic do's and don'ts. Mr. Betty.
Thank you for everything.
Come on, thank you. You all right? Grandma's gone home.
What did you do at work today? To find out more about nursing, call 0800 333 666. Free.
Call Chatback on 0898 228 333 and make new friends all over the UK. Just dial 0898 228 333.
Come on, gentlemen. This is supposed to be a board meeting. Well, I'm bored. Oh, sir, I hear the interest rate's gone up. Not in here, it hasn't. There must be something in the FT.
Did someone say tea?
Ah, that's more like it. A refreshing cup of PG tips. It's the taste.
There's no other tea to beat PG.
Any more tips for the city, Mrs. Cravat?
Well, PG's worth a packet. They're back at the video shop, Jake and Elwood Blue.
You better get right, pal. We got a show to do. Then we got to figure out some way to collect that gate money. Get it to the Cook County Assessor's office as soon as they open in the morning.
How are you going to raise $5,000 in 11 days without ripping off somebody?
Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, the Blues Brothers. 2 men with a mission in only 11 days. The Blues Brothers on sale for $12.99.
Get it.
At our price, the video shop, the big choice for the small screen.
Thomas Cook have up to £120 off all faraway holidays to places like America, home of the Chicago Bears.
Bygone number 5. Timmy the dog has gone to a farm in Wales. Timmy the dog has gone to a farm in Wales.
As you can see, this room is not a farm, it is a euphemism. There being little demand these days amongst Welsh farmers for 13-year-old smelly arthritic incontinent mongrels. Timmy the dog has not really gone to a farm in Wales at all. In fact, he's gone to a veterinarian for a lethal injection in the back of the neck. These days, parents have no need of such subterfuge, since the dog they buy on Christmas Day will, by Boxing Day, have been released on the motorway by their cavalier offspring. Bye-bye, Timmy. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Timmy. Bye-bye.
Bygones Part 3. The spin-around ashtray, the naked lady ink pen, idiot mittens, ballad sweet tobacco, and unstable babies on bicycles. Bygone number 2. The naked lady ink pen. The naked lady ink pen.
This pen was really a biro which, if in the writing position, showed a photograph of a Betty Grable look-alike nymphet wearing a black bikini. When inverted, the bikini, which was nothing more than black liquid in a channel, bled away before your very eyes, revealing the lady's shameful parts. Although the detail was not sufficient to be truly erotic, there was a way, by tilting the pen at an angle of 5 degrees, of making the pen filthier, much filthier than the airbrushed models in Health and Efficiency magazine. Oh, Christ almighty.
Bygone television logo of the week.
Pinty's Television, Channel 8.
Bygone number 3. Idiot mittens. Idiot mittens.
Idiot mittens were a humiliating device which sadistic mothers inflicted on their young children and occasionally even their husbands. They consisted of a pair of woolen mittens connected by a piece of string.
String joke of the week.
I'm a piece of string. I'm a piece of string too. Are you a piece of string? No, I'm afraid not.
It's good to have a sense of humour, isn't it? Where was I? Oh yes, this piece of string ran from one idiot mitten up the sleeve of your duffel coat, around the back, down the other sleeve, and down onto the other idiot mitten. And no matter how hard you tried, you always forgot you were wearing them, saw someone you knew, waved at them with your right hand, and punched yourself in the mouth with your left hand.
Bygone number 4. Barrett's Sweet Tobacco. Barrett's Sweet Tobacco.
You chewed until it lost its flavour, then you chewed and you chewed and you chewed a little bit more and you chewed and you damn well chewed and then you chewed a bit more and then you chewed and then you chewed again and then you chewed and then you chewed a bit more and then playtime was over and you had to spit the stuff out because no amount of mastication could ever break it down. We do not know the secret recipe used by the ancient and venerable confectionery house of Barrett's, but suspect it was a mixture of sugar, coconut, but not the exquisite succulent flesh, rather the hairy, coarse, unpalatable exterior, and tungsten offcuts from your local nuclear power station. Premise number 1. In the health-conscious 80s, children are actively dissuaded from the purchase and consumption of tobacco-related sweetmeats. Premise number 2. Ipso facto, children no longer disappear behind the bicycle sheds for a clandestine puff on a Craven A. Conclusion, nowadays children indulge in healthier pastimes, such as eroding away their septums with white powder and solvent fluid, resulting in massive brain hemorrhages, but at least they die with pure undamaged lungs, and that's important because heaven is very high up and the air's rather thin, the end.
Bygones Part 4, the Dalek costume, Flit fly spray, the Thundersley Invacar, and pick and mix teeth. Bygones. Bygone number 1, the Doctor Who Dalek costume, the Doctor Who Dalek costume.
Anyone who has seen a Doctor Who Dalek in the metal will have realised that, but for a fundamental design flaw, they would indeed have conquered the universe. Unfortunately, your common or garden Dalek is not proficient at climbing stairs or indeed at traversing anything other than the glass-smooth surface of a television studio. Hence, no cosmic conquest. Dalek costumes were a different matter. Available from mail-order catalogues in the 1960s in an era before money-back guarantees, these consisted of a plastic bin liner welded to a grey metallic miner's helmet, with the lamp replaced by a plastic eye on a stick, and were available in 3 sizes. Too small, far too small, and this is bloody ridiculous. There was no deadly ray gun or sucker fitted, merely 2 holes punched in the plastic. For added realism, the company suggested that a sink plunger could be held in the hand.
Bygone number 2. Flit fly spray, now with added DDT. Flit fly spray, now with...
The Flit fly spray gun was a pre-aerosol contraption which, although not imperiling the ozone layer, was nevertheless an equal threat to the environment. The gun appeared to be nothing more sophisticated than a bicycle pump transversely mounted onto a screw-top can with a spray nozzle. During the long hot summers we used to get in bygone days, insect-ridden rooms would be sealed and the Flit spray vigorously pumped into them. On returning an hour later, no blue bottles could be seen, but a keen observer might notice that the goldfish would be slightly less entertaining than usual, Sparky the budgerigar not quite so loquacious, and a week later the white mice could be observed devouring their 2-headed offspring.
Bygone television logo of the week. Bygone number 3, the Thundersley Invacar. The Thundersley Invacar.
Like Henry Ford's cars, designed for those people who enjoy the full complement of limbs, the Thundersley Invacar, made where else in Essex, the disabled capital of Britain, came in a choice of one colour known in the trade as nauseous turquoise. Battery-operated and with a design based on a World War II fighter pilot's cockpit, the Invacar did 0 to 2 miles an hour in an impressive 17 minutes. All the car's functions were operated by a single joystick, making a trip to Tesco's as dangerous for everyone as a bombing raid on Hamburg. Premise number 1. Throughout history, generations of disabled people were forced to sit immobile for their entire lives. Premise number 2. The good British public are deeply and profoundly frightened of anything which is motionless for long periods of time and then suddenly moves very fast. Conclusion, the great and sympathetic British public did not go a bomb on the side of this new high-speed army of disabled, which is why the government arranged to close the factory down on the grounds that the car was downright dangerous. And as most MPs realised, they were hardly likely to get duffed up by a posse of physically challenged people in a dark alley outside the House of Commons, dear me no. Which is a pity because the Thundersley Invacar ran on a unit scarcely more powerful than a PP3 battery with a maximum range of half a mile.
Yes, no chance of any long-haul journeys in one of these cars, Dad. And no longer are the streets littered with stranded Invacars and their helpless occupants. A few dozen of those down your local high street, Mum, and the whole scenario would resemble a failed alien invasion in an early Doctor Who adventure. Bygone number 4. Pick and mix teeth in Woolworths. Pick and mix teeth.
It was my 12th birthday when grandfather, in the full grip of Alzheimer's disease, attempted to rise from his armchair and shouted,
"It's 1942, son. The bombs is dropping. Quick, everyone. Take cover in Woolworths." "What can you see, grandfather? What can you see?" "Piles of teeth grinning up at me. There's a sign. It says, 'These are second-hand teeth. Pick and mix your own and take them to the checkout, where they will be weighed.'"
Was it fact or was it fiction? We will never know, not least because grandfather died 3 days later after overdosing on Bob Martin dog tablets for healthy teeth, bones, and a glossier, shinier pelt.
Bygones Part 5. The Etch-a-Sketch, tie-dye shirts, the Stylophone, and Crazy Lord. Bygone number 2. The tie-dye shirt. The tie-dye shirt.
One of the more ridiculous crazes of the late 1960s, tie-dye shirts were popularised by a certain progressive rock band named after the 18th century agricultural reformer
Jethro Tull.
In London, the staid gentleman's haberdashery chain of Wade and Pollard's was swamped in 1968 with would-be hippies demanding three-button singlets or grandad vests in unbleached cotton.
Bong, roundhouse, cosmic.
Firstly, the shirt underwent a process of knotting.
Sitar, Far Out, Josh Stick Acid, Man, Timothy Leary, Maharishi Mukherjee,
And then portions of the vest were dipped into bowls of Dylon dye, preferably using wildly clashing or acid colours. After the vest had been left to dry and untied, it would then be worn, its abstract wiggly lines being admired by everyone, including chicks, all that is except for the wearer's mother, who would no longer be willing to walk on the same side of the road as her son. Oddly enough, this man is now something big in the city and looks like this.
Far out mouth.
Even more pathetic, this girl is now fat and 40 and looks like this. How sad. She continued to wear these clothes because they made her feel young. To everyone else, they make her look old. And people point and laugh behind her back.
Bygone television logo of the week.
From the north, Granada.
Bygone number 3, the Stylophone Pocket Electronic Organ. The Stylophone Pocket...
The Stylophone Pocket Electronic Organ was the king of transistorized musical instruments in the 1960s. The size of a half-pound box of chocolates, it had a flat embossed keyboard which was played with a pen-like stylus. The hideous monophonic sound resembled a bee being masticated by a cat. There was an optional vibrato setting which made the bee sound as if it was suffering from Parkinson's disease. As was the case with the violin family, a range of stylophones evolved under the auspices of the well-known artiste and musicologist Mr. Rolfington Harris, Professor of Fine Arts, Aboriginal Anthropology, and going in the Department of Semiotics at the University of Woolloomooloo. The stylophone always cost £9.18 6. Until it didn't, due to the development of the Moog synthesizer, which no longer sounded as though Tiddles had been let loose in an apiary. Although it was deeply and most profoundly crap, the stylophone achieved a momentary glory when it was incorporated by a certain Mr. David Bowie in his popular jive tune, Space Oddity.
Tell my wife I love her very much.
Bygone number 4. Lords Kagan, Lucan, Lambton, Jellicoe, and Cyril. Lords Kagan...
What you are seeing are photographs of crazy peers who all got carpeted, all except, that is, for Lord Lucan, who left his nanny lying in an extremely unwell condition on a carpet made, somewhat ironically, by Cyril.
Cyril Lord. Squash it and it just springs back. Wash it and the colour stays fast. Give it the treatment, the family treatment. Paint Cologne is built to last for years and years and years and years. And this is luxury you can afford by Cyril Lord.
Bygone Part 6, the magic robot, Omo washing powder, Pathfinder shoes, and having your tonsils ice. Bygone number 1, the magic robot, the magic...
The Merit Amazing Magic Robot was guaranteed by the manufacturers always to give the right answer. Although the game was compared by a metallic quizmaster, he was still considerably less cybernetic than Mike Smith. The instructions were as follows. Number 1, insert question sheet. Number 2, place robot in slot and point its wand to a question such as where is the Eiffel Tower? Number 3, lift out robot. Number 4, place robot on glass ring, it spins round and round and unfailingly points out the correct answer. Yes, Ben Nevis, as we all knew, is the home of the Eiffel Tower. Number 5, put robot back in box, and 5 days later, get given 10,000 lines by Mr. Dibley, the geography master, after a long, passionate argument.
Bygone number 2, Omo washing powder, Omo washing powder.
The stuff in this packet, in a normal wash, in an ordinary washer like this, not your automatics, just an ordinary machine, would get clothes cleaner in 5 minutes washing than all the other washing products put together. This packet is Omo.
The manufacturers of Omo washing powder claimed that it washed so white that it had a blue whiteness. This is blue. Notice in this diagram that blue is not so much a whiter form of white, more a bluer form of white. The only truly blue aspect to Omo was the use to which it was put by bored, libidinous working-class housewives who spent their days hoping for a session of good old-fashioned baby-making with an itinerant bit of rough trade, and who consequently would place a packet in their front window to signify acronomically the legend... Old Man Out. Yes, Old Man Out, in the hope of catching any passing randy tradesperson, thus proving that a packet of Omo was as clear a signal as a prostitute's red lamp, which is also not at all blue.
Bygone television logo of the week. Bygone number 3, Pathfinder shoes. Pathfinder shoes.
Although, to the casual viewer, the fine leather upper resembled that of an ordinary shoe, the wearer knew their hidden powers, consisting of a heel which could be prized open to reveal a compass, and soles on which a number of animal footprints were embossed. A compass is very delicate, whereas a Boy Scout is not. Consequently, within 5 minutes of purchase, the compass needle would be hanging limp and useless, pointing to the north of the dial no matter which way the shoe itself was directed.
Yes, it's that way, I think. No, it's that way. Look, north over there. Look, there you are.
As for the footprints, their only conceivable use was in laying a false trail, by leaving tracks as though 2 clusters of 6 one-legged miniature animals were hopping across the countryside, jumping from shoeprint to shoeprint as they went.
Bygone number 4. Having your tonsils taken out.
In the 1950s, no matter what illness children suffered from, there were only 3 types of treatment available. Firstly, nasty pink medicine, or germaline rubbed on the knee. But the most popular remedy of all was to have your tonsils removed. One redeeming feature of a tonsillectomy was that, as the sufferer lay convalescing, he could save the build-up of congealed blood and mucus in his throat, wait until Mummy came to visit, and then bring the whole lot up for dramatic effect over the nice, clean bed sheets. And why not? It was the 1950s and you had to make your own entertainment those days.